for $3,576. I could see why it is confusing. It's 5-year compare.
Okay,
Doesn't
I
include
gotta
the-
officially open the meeting. All right,
Okay.
it's officially open then. I don't need a motion for that, do I?
No.
All right, Mike sent ahead the sidewalk tractor purchase documents. I had looked at them. I was hoping Mike would be here. We can call him. Call him, okay, because I don't know if he's making a recommendation here. I don't feel comfortable.
He sent an email with his recommendations. It was the capital tractor one.
32.
That's the one that he's. Was this something we knew was coming, or is this,
Yes.
we did, okay.
32.
Is it normal to wipe out like completely though, the reserve like people have? Are we supposed to be doing that? Like,
Well, you know, he talked about taking it out of water, out of streets and out of what's the third one?
So it's
It's in
27.
his
I'm
email.
pulling it up.
What's the trade-ins?
yeah, the trade and strain, it's almost exactly what you have.
So he said used equipment reserve out of 3 departments, DPW, water and sewer.
Oh, so it wouldn't all come out of that one DPW budget?
Right, because it's gonna be used
Okay,
for
yeah, okay.
all things. I mean, there is one more possibility. The interest on the accounts, could that be used for the interest we've gotten, the high interest? We take some of the interest money?
If it's exceeded, what was budgeted, then that's fair game, sure. I have replied on the email how much money we have in the DPW reserve, water and sewer. We've got a lot of money on this.
And I'm pulling that up. So DPW reserve 46,142, water reserve $133,901, sewer reserve $40,717. And Mike did confirm that the capital tractor was the preference to replace the Ventrac tractor from capital tractor to replace the 40-year-old tractor they currently have.
That's 42, 291, 20. The challenge. That was 42 million. But we have a quote for Salem Farm Supply for Dakota for 32 too,
So different brand.
different brand.
What is the responsibility? Is it to go with the lower, with the rules on that?
Well, a little bit,
It-
unless you've got a
it-
reason for going with.
Right, so. We're gonna need something to document that. This is in some way, you know, we're not necessarily comparing apples and apples.
How come it wasn't put out to a public bid if it was over 20,000?
I don't know what our purchasing policy is.
I know what general municipal law is.
That changed, did it not?
It's 20,000, it was 10.
Okay, it was 10. We may have to,
Okay, so we'll table this
we're gonna table this, yeah.
and confirm that.
Will we get the trade-ins?
Yeah, because the trade-in would be in the bid.
Okay,
It would have to be in the bid. if it's-
okay.
See, and that's a good question. If the trade-in gets us below spending 20,000.
Yeah, but we're not there.
just table it and then
Yeah,
we're together again next week.
right, so.
Right.
I don't think we could be done in a week. How is that done?
Just
Put it on the
depends on whether or
website.
not we have to do a public bid.
Yeah. If we have to do a public bid, it would probably take, we wouldn't get it done by
No,
next
no,
week, but if we
right.
don't
We
have
just
to,
put
then
it
we
in the
could.
local paper? Is that
Revise
where
it.
we put it on a municipal? some kind of
That's with
municipal-
our, what we would do is put it in our legal paper,
Okay,
so that way it's noticed on our
Okay.
website, and then we would send the advertisement or the bid notice to the folks we got quotes from and said, hey, we gotta go to public bid.
okay.
Next on the list was beautification and trees, Donna.
Yes. Sandra Herbst contacted me on behalf of Greenwich Gardeners. They have a budget right now of $1,500 to do all the flowers and all the gardens and everything. They know that we gave them $900 to the planners. They wanted to know a couple of things. One, if there was a little bit more we could give them to the flowers. And our gardens in the village this summer. The other, which is, I guess we can talk about that, but there's another part to it. Sandra and her family, Jerry, who you guys.
Yeah.
They want to take over the Carib Door Park. And they want to do some pretty substantial things there, including ripping up perennials and putting in annuals. They also want to fix the fountain. And we were wondering if that's something that the DPW can help with. There's like, they want to repaint it and maybe scrape it down, but there are parts that need to be like soldered or something. It feels like it's like iron.
Yeah.
But they wanted to know if we get assistance with that and assistance with fixing the light. There's a really old lamppost there. It has no like fixture. It's really pretty though.
Yeah.
If there's a history on why that doesn't have a fixture anymore or anything, or if we could get that fixed up for them, that would be great.
They need to she needs to put that in writing to us, so we know exactly what they want to do. Mike
Okay.
Smith will know why that doesn't work, that
It's an
light.
electrical problem.
It
and
is.
Yeah, and it's, I think it goes to a pole, so it's an expensive electrical
Mhm.
problem, as I recall.
Okay.
But the pump in the fountain, just a couple of years ago.
Was
So-
it up and running last year with
The
water?
fountain.
I
The
feel
fountain,
like
yes,
it
it was,
was.
because there were 4 people that did the gardens up until this year,
Mhm.
and I'm one of them.
Okay,
And that fountain was running.
it ran
last
last
year,
year.
yep.
Okay, so somewhere we can get the pieces and get it at least up and running again this year, regardless. of
Did
the
we have a
paint thing.
problem getting it running?
I've heard in the past that there was vandalism.
That'd be something we need to check with Mike.
Yeah. So there's that aspect of what can be repaired there, and then Sandra wanted to know if, with the trees, if we have a system right now of getting trees in front of people's houses, especially with us taking a lot of trees down. Is there a way we could put up a tree in front of her place on Corliss while we're putting up trees anyway this summer?
I'm not gonna say it was his dying wish or anything like that, but Leo was pretty adamantly against planting trees in the right of way.
That,
It's a problem.
We've done this
Oh,
before. We've gone through this before.
okay, I would like to plant trees, but I would also want to consult with a landscape architect, and there's one in my office who can give me a list of ones that are low growth and are not going to cause problems with the sidewalks. If we select the right species, it will be much less of a problem. I'm not gonna say it's never gonna be a problem, but it will be less of a problem. We want something that's not gonna grow tall enough to get up into the power lines, and we want something that's not gonna grow big enough with the root system to get up under the sidewalks.
That or be sticking out into the road,
right,
or
right.
hanging over the sidewalk.
Right.
But I
So-
would anticipate more requests like this as trees come down and people are gonna be like, you guys took the trees down, can you put another up at least?
Right,
you know.
and I,
What we've done in the past is actually anybody that wanted one asked about it. The other piece to that is you may want a tree that's down the street from your house. We go to put the tree there and the person that actually lives there doesn't want the tree.
Happened to.
If the leaves blow in their yard.
Right.
and
They
then what-
just don't want it. So it is a little can of worms.
We
Yeah.
also did use Mandy's
Yep,
place in Granville, who did advise us on low growth,
Right.
salt resist, the salt is a
Yeah, it's all the
problem.
problem too.
And the watering is a problem. The DPW waters as much as they can, but young trees need to be watered a lot.
Right.
They try and get buy-in from the homeowners who don't always.
Well, and
So-
the other thing we can do to mitigate the amount of watering that has to be done is we could get the contractor, again, it'll probably cost extra, to put the, like watering bags on the trees when they're first installed.
Okay.
And you only have to like fill those up once every few weeks. And
They
then
also
water,
planted them and they kind of guaranteed them.
yeah,
Steve Record.
right, yeah,
So the Andes came in and planted them?
Yeah.
Is ours.
Right, as long as they plant them, they'll warrant.
and probably anything, what's it? Ricky's planning,
Mhm.
they're probably required to guarantee those for,
We should probably, yeah,
fine.
check into that.
Yeah,
So were you here when the Deb Anderson presented on the big planters?
Yeah, I saw that, the same presentation, the Greenwich kind of thing,
I
yeah.
think if they could do something again like that to show the vision and like the cost of what they're actually asking for.
Would
be
be Door
helpful.
Park.
With Door Park,
Okay,
I think that would be good supporting material.
okay.
And then for trees, I think that's a long-term. We need to come up with a long-term strategy for parks and recreation and Thunder Mountain and the trees that have to come down because of the sidewalk project. I'm in favor of trees, I think, but planting just one tree. I think we could come up with a
Well, that's what
more
I mean, is there a
comprehensive
system in
plan.
place, you know what I mean?
I know when I got a tree in front of my house, we got trees on Gray Avenue. People just said, hey, Leo, I want a tree. And if there were enough trees, you got a tree, and if there weren't, you didn't. So you didn't necessarily get it the first, because we have a certain budget that we really don't want to go crazy with everybody's wish for a tree, which it did get really crazy.
I bet.
And I
And I
don't
can see
know
that.
about, I don't know, get me careful sometimes. What will people think of a private citizens take over that park?
Well, it's the Greenwich.
I think
Garden.
it's the gardening group.
Oh,
That's just rearrange, yeah.
That she was
Yeah.
talking about? I thought you meant Sandra and Jerry want to
Well,
take
they
over
do, the way that, when I was at the gardening meeting, they said, you know, we're gonna divvy up the 9 gardens or whatever there really are in
Right.
Green Parks. And we're gonna have different people kind of be in
Owned.
charge
Oh,
of that,
being
you know, and they had us
responsible
sign
for
up,
it.
where would you want to work? So there's gotta be a way to
Yeah.
divvy up the gardening and stuff. So I guess we will,
So they just want to take over the care, but they don't want to take over the park itself.
no, and they've got a really beautiful idea. They want to turn it into this moon park, and plant all white and silver and, green flowers to work with what's there. They would also like to know, I have this all written down too, I can give it to you guys. If we're gonna be taking out the slate, maybe we could make some slate sidewalks in that park that go out to the road to make it more inviting to bring people in.
Which is a great
It'd be nice to see the
reuse
slate
of
when
the
people
slate.
get,
Right.
if anybody gets mad that we're taking out the beautiful slate, we can put it someplace beautiful as well, you know?
I mean, Sandra's a great gardener.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, and
Right.
she'd be continuing the work with Connie Mason, her mother.
Right.
And will you get the idea on the tree part in terms of like what?
Well, I've talked to our landscape architect and she hasn't gotten back to me right away. I will get a number of species that would be,
I think we need to be
Appropriate.
cautious too about the amount of money that we're allotting for plants this year.
Sure,
I think-
absolutely.
You know, $1,500 is a lot.
I think that's what they have.
Oh,
I'm
I
not
thought
sure
they
if
were
we have a
expensive.
budget for,
We do beautification.
right,
Which needs to cover these planters,
right.
that's their part.
It didn't though.
The contents, right?
Yeah, it's the
Right.
contents.
Right.
yeah, I'd like to see what we have in the beautification and how we go about spending it.
4,000. I thought it was 4,000, but it's not. It's not very much.
So we probably won't come to a decision today on what we're gonna attribute or appropriate, but So we can take that away and bring it to another meeting,
Okay.
once we
I
know
think She should put it in writing too.
what they're asking, yes,
She
what they're
sent
asking
me
for.
an email, but, and then we went and talked at the park and there was more done there, so, I can forward this all to you guys to think about.
Beautification is 85,000.
Oh, thank you. I must be getting.
3,000 plus 4,000 for trees.
So it's 3,000 plus 1,000 for trees, so we are buying trees no matter what already.
Well, we keep budgeting for them.
I don't think anyone.
We didn't buy all.
And part of, like you said, the flowers that are going into the planters are coming out of this line item, right?
Yeah,
Out
so
of that beautification.
Yeah.
does that mean that there's money left, that much money? It's a lot of, that's like $3,100 that would be left, right? To work with on beautifications.
If it's $1,000 to
We gave them that
Yeah.
for the planners.
900 for the planners, yeah.
9,000 for the planner.
What was
But
that?
there was a motion to make that payment, which is actually
Is that other tree money? The,
Probably.
the lobby money?
Yeah. Well,
I remember that from the meeting minutes, just from what I read.
yeah, we appropriated unrecognized revenue that
Surplus.
surplus, yeah.
Okay, so the 9,000, the pots came out of that. And
So I mean, technically there would be 1,000 because we didn't spend any. We didn't spend any in beautification and we didn't spend any for shade trees.
No, I never saw the tree.
Okay, so
It's only been beautification, but we never spent anything. Terry Kelly buys the flowers for the parks.
you guys run yourself?
I think he might be getting reimbursed now. He doesn't ever.
So I
turn
still
it
think we
over.
need to know what her plan would cost. Her
Like how
vision
much more they would.
they would need
they
to
would
make that
need
happen
to
and
make
what they're
that happen.
asking
Okay,
for.
that's a good.
And if they're looking for flowers for the other 8 gardens, that has to be considered as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, I think they're looking for money for the, we have a rough estimate of $1,500 to place annuals in all the parks. So anybody who buys flowers know that that's a lot.
I think we need to stick to our budget. That's my own feeling because we'll nickel and dime ourselves.
Yeah.
Deep into a hole. That's my own personal opinion.
But if there is a budget, and it looks like there is a little bit.
Is there a plan for all the gardens to rip out perennials and put them?
No,
in?
that's just their plan for
Just that.
door around the fountain.
Just
And then
around that.
repurposing
Their
them.
plans around, just so you know, Maori are to keep it to just annuals and probably repurpose those too, because if there may be some work at some point on the gazebo, probably not this summer. They don't want all that nice stuff stumped down, you know. Okay, this was a lot of information, so this is awesome, so I will get her to give us a specific estimate on what she might want.
So how it, well, the reason why we're asking for it in writing though, because we're not gonna be able to just send them a check for 1,500. We'll have to get an invoice that you guys sign the voucher for and we pay.
Right.
So it will have to be an itemized. We can't just write them a blank check to buy
Yeah,
the
and I
thing,
think
which
the
would be.
1,500 is what they have. That's the, you know what I mean? They didn't ask me for a specific amount, but I'll get that.
Perfect. So they're.
Or we could say this is what we have.
But we still can't just write them.
No,
Right, so we can
No,
pay.
I mean, this is what we have in our budget
Yeah.
for it.
Yes.
And I think we should leave something for trees for when trees come
Yeah.
down to make up for that.
We have a lot of trees. 2024-2025 tentative budget was next on the list, but if it's okay,
Let's,
I want to just skip to the final, to the other 2 items. Just to
yep,
get them
yeah,
off the
get
list.
those off the list.
Okay, so at our last meeting, we made a motion to, for Leo Flynn's memorial, but the sentiment was they didn't want to go the funny way with the nod to the humor. So, given that sentiment, we're gonna table the motion. The DPW is still possibly on the table, but we're gonna get some more feedback on what other,
Either the highway barn or the water treatment facility.
so,
Water, not
Yes,
sewer.
I hear
water.
you. You want to make that mistake?
so we're just rescinding the previous motion
I'll
and,
make a motion that we rescind that.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? And then Comfort Food Coin drop application, it's gonna be between 200 Main Street and the YMCA. So it's the exact same place where they always are. And because they're in the street and it's a weekend, the water project isn't impacted because it is the weekend, so. Motion to approve,
Oh my God.
second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Excellent, all right, now we'll go into the budget.
Oh, can I read something in? It is my mistake. We got, a voucher and I didn't push Mike Smith to review it. I didn't know what it was. It's just said CWTS Environmental Services, and I didn't realize this was Charlie Sherman. So I didn't make it a super priority, but he came in to the office, I think today, and would like to be paid. So I apologize.
I want my job.
But there was an electrical problem with the fountain or the pump, and Mark Rogers is
Oh,
gonna take care of it.
Who's Mark Rogers?
He
oh,
is our go-to.
Plumber guy.
he can fix anything.
It's good to have one of those guys.
Yeah.
Jane, is this for us to look?
I just wanted, I got that in the mail and I wanted everyone to look at it.
Shall I read it or do?
I read it.
Okay.
Well, it's correspondence, so.
Sure.
Mark.
So the officers and members of the Greenwich VFW Post 7291, Greenwich Post 515 of the American Legion, VFW Auxiliary 7291, and the Sons of the Legion Greenwich Post 515 would like to invite you to participate in our annual Memorial Day Parade to be held in Greenwich, New York on Friday, May 24th, 2024. After everyone is invited back to our pavilion for food and the lounge lizards. We will be dedicating more honor bricks and have another very special edition to unveil, created by our members, special artists in our community, and the Greenwich High School. Please come. Participants will assemble along Washington Street. You will be notified on the order of march for your unit upon arrival. Floats are welcome. The parade will start at 6 p.m. following a brief ceremony on the bridge over the Battenkill River, honoring those who died at sea. The parade will then continue marching west on Main Street onto Abeal Avenue, ending at the VFW building. Heavy vehicles and equipment will be directed down Wilson Avenue for easy exit from the route, either west on Wilson or east on Forest Avenue. Please don't turn onto Abeal Avenue. We hope your organization can join us. Your involvement is very important and means a lot to all of us in the community. This wonderful Greenwich tradition means a lot to so many people, and it would not happen without you. If you could contact us and let us know you can participate, we will be able to prepare the order of march. Please let us know the best way to contact you. Phone number, email, or mail. If you have any questions, contact us below. Yours in memoriam, Skip Perkins and Jeannie Kemp. Have you all participated in the past? I feel like I've seen you waving.
We walked last year.
Okay, I am available. I'm happy to walk. Unless we want to build a float, we have time. All right, so we'll confirm we'll be there, and
5 o'clock, is that what you said?
it's 6 p.m.
Oh,
is.
funny.
Well,
Oh, the
the
parade
parade
is
starts at 6. It doesn't
Do we have to
say.
go to the brewery to line up?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I will follow back up with detailed instructions closer to the date.
Yeah, detailed instructions, maybe meeting at Argyle Brewery.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jane. That was pleasant. Now on to the budget. Rachel, where did you want us to be reviewing? I have the one that you sent recently. I have the old one that we reviewed at that you all reviewed at the last meeting. So, yeah.
We need an old one, I might have one of my desk.
You have an old one, that would be great.
Mhm. And Dane, I'll respond to them. I can.
This is the research.
Okay,
This is the new one.
well, the $40,000 reduction in liability insurance, that was a big nut, and that's not. That,
But I also added an appropriated cash surplus for the general fund, and we could probably put it all there. if you want.
I,
Or we can go over the tax levy. It's-
my inclination would be to go over the tax levy, because if we appropriate cash surplus this year, it will. Unless it's a one-off kind of thing, like paying for the salt barn, I don't have a problem with that. But unless it's a one-off, it's gonna come back to bite us next year or the year after. Because not only do we have to make up essentially what we've appropriated, plus we have to raise for whatever increase.
Mhm.
So that's my general line of reasoning. I tried to compare what our rate per thousand was.
Mhm.
And it appears as though it's been running just under $11-ish for the past 3 years. And one of the things we have going for us, fortunately, is the assessed valuation is rising.
Yes, we got some notices that some property values in the village have gone up quite a bit.
Right. So long ago and far away, what Saratoga County used to do, this was in the like 90s, is we don't raise taxes. What they did is they would hold that rate and let the levy float. So their rate was always like $2.42 a thousand or something like that. And the levy was where the levy was because they held that rate. And as their assessed valuation was rising, it was working for them.
Mhm.
Now, the tax cap doesn't let you do that anymore. But I think we're better off not trying to play games, not doing one shots to get under it and then having to have it bite us next year. But that said, I think on the I think we can make a couple of trivial changes to the revenue line.
Oh, really? Oh.
And again, like utilities gross receipts tax, year to date, we've gotten 20,675. And we're budgeting 18 grand in revenue for next year.
Mhm.
So I think we can probably bump that up to, 20,000 anyway, or 20,500.
Sure.
And then cable TV franchise fees. We've already gotten 2,043 this year, and we're budgeting 1,500. We can probably go to 2,000 on that.
Mhm.
The fire protection. Yes. Property rental on the tower, that's goes kind of.
I'm sorry, where are you getting the franchise fee figures from?
1170.
Look at, I mean, it's quarterly, there should be a lot more than that.
Okay.
That should have come in by now.
Yeah.
It should be down to the last quarterly payment for the year.
Okay,
So how much do you think it should be?
Well, I think the 18 is probably pretty close, but I can do a little
18,000?
digging.
but in 22-23, we only get 1,500. And year to date is 2,043 year to date, so.
Wow, that's not what I'm remembering, but
Okay.
that seems. It seems
Are
very
you looking
low.
at, you're looking at the
I
line
think
right
things
above
are
it?
not getting attributed correctly.
Or no, yeah, okay, I'm looking at,
Things might have
I'm
gotten
look-
attributed to gross receipts that should have gotten attributed to franchise fees, because,
okay,
so that needs to be sorted out.
okay. But even that, between the two of them, we're budgeting 19.5, and we've already gotten 22. So I think we can
Yes, yeah.
but between the two of them, bump them up to, 22.
Mhm.
Um,
This, so should we raise for revenue, the rental of, rental of real property tower, is that?
That will go at 3% in June over what?
right, that's probably all based on whatever that'll go up 3%.
Mhm.
So we're at 34.3. So, yeah, that can
No,
probably,
you're looking at the wrong, you're
Oh,
looking
no,
at the wrong one. Down here, it's like a
2412.
okay, okay. So that's probably about where it needs to be, right?
Mhm.
So, the sales tax percentage we get from Washington County, is it always such a small amount?
That's the old.
Somebody put the budget from Scarlettville on my desk, and
Yeah.
their sales tax is
Oh, that was mine.
Saratoga
Okay.
County.
Yes, it's much different because Washington County does not have any cities. And if you have cities by law, you have to distribute the sales tax to the cities and hence the counties and villages too.
Okay.
Because Washington County does not have any cities, the sales tax distribution is discretionary. At the when the county does the budget.
The village would have had to have opted to accept the sales tax. This would have been years ago. Which I assume they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
it's a very modest number because the county uses the sales tax to balance their budget.
Oh, I can get it, Jean. I didn't know we had more.
But I think,
34 grand.
yeah, it's not insignificant, but and they do it by formula as to how much taxes generate, population and how much taxes generated in that locality. So if we've gotten 34.5 year to date, or 34.3 year to date. We got 42 in 22-23. I don't know how much more we're expecting to get.
I'm not sure if we've already gotten 4 this year. I can go back. Or if we're due one more.
So on the 5-year compare, the tax was 27,000, 27,000, 28,000, 30,000, 42,000, and last year was 50,000.
Okay,
That's good.
so I think we can bump that up to 45. We're not going as big as it was last year.
Or at least 40.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean. People might not be. Spending as much.
42 like it was 2 years ago. It was 50 last year.
yeah,
40,
I think 42 is,
Well, the thing is, ahead of time, they already know what their payments are gonna be for the next year, right?
at the county?
Um,
I mean, could we call Al Nolet and say, hey, what's our,
well, that would be the
it
budget.
seems to me, when you get the payments,
Mm.
they've already figured out. We should have gotten, one in January, one in April.
They would have, budgeted and allocated back in December. Yes. So we. Okay, I am going to suggest that if you contact the county and see what that number is gonna be, if they know what it's gonna be or what they've allocated to us for the year.
Mhm.
And we'll base it on that. Yeah. So that should add probably 10 grand if for what we're gonna keep it to our revenue. And then add, when the two lines below should add another 2 grand-ish to our revenue. So that helps to reduce the amount of money or fund balance we're appropriating. Where is that shown?
It's the very first page.
Appropriated cash surplus, okay. And
Ideally, would you like to see it at 0?
I'm gonna say, we're about 10 grand. Because that's the money we appropriated for the salt farm.
Oh. And so the salt barn, that's another good question in the budget for DCW. I don't know if that was budgeted correctly, because I think we had 25,000
Okay,
in there.
and
I'm confused, where did $10,000 of the cell phone
I
come
thought
from?
it was in the,
But we're not, using less salt.
we're using less salt, but we need to build a salt barn because it gets rained on and melts away.
Oh.
And the salt barn we have is on the verge of collapse.
So you're saying to take that away from that?
What I'm saying is, no, we'll still use that amount of money. We'll appropriate that amount of money, but we're gonna basically draw from our savings account to pay for part of the building into salt barn.
Where do you have that
We're-
budget?
we're-
Under
we're-
5142?
No, 5142, there's 15,000 in contract. No, that's salt, that's actual salt, so,
So where's the salt shed?
oh, it's,
I thought it was in trucks or something.
I think that was the DPW equipment reserve. For building. I would say we appropriate some. Like 10 or 15 grand for salt barn, because we were hoping for a grant. but
Yeah, didn't come through.
it didn't come through.
So right now, there's 5,000 in the DPW building reserve,
Right, and we're gonna need to,
and you're gonna need 10,
we're gonna need at least 10.
and you wanna do that this year,
Yeah, we would like to do that.
so you need to bump that.
We need to bump that up and we can bump, that's worth appropriating fund balance for, because we're only gonna do that once over the next, 40 years, or we hope.
Right. Is that 85142 under snow removal? Is that where that is?
No, it's towards almost the end of the budget under interfund transfers, 95, 60.
Because I have notes on my computer, but that's not,
Worry about it.
Okay.
thank you, Rebecca.
You're not putting money into reserve, but that's not budgeting a payment for.
Just putting it into the reserve, but then we will then draw from that reserve to
Pull that into the budget.
build salt. Then we can then appropriate funds out of that reserve to say. Well, right.
I have questions for Rachel too on some items.
So, yeah, we're just,
But we're just going through it.
The salt shed is 15,000 under contractual for,
okay,
snow removal.
okay.
Cause it was
Yeah,
supposed
okay.
to be a kit or something, but we didn't know if we were gonna do,
Right.
But that would also cover salt, so.
We have a barn full of salt at this point,
Oh,
so Mike was gonna reuse it.
okay.
So that if we want to use 15,000 of surplus, I'm okay with the build a salt barn, I'm okay. And if we can reduce the appropriated cash surplus to 15,000, take advantage of whatever revenue projections that improve, that should get us close-ish. And if we're going over the tax cap by, $5,000. So,
Can you go over it?
yeah, we passed a lot of us go over it. Yeah. You have the cap, but then you have to pass a local law in order to go over it, because
Oh, we would do that.
and we already did that.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah, right.
but it sounds like for under contractual, I need to take that 15,000 out and put it somewhere that makes more sense for the salt barn.
I think
Well,
it's good.
that's where it would be
That's
paid out of,
where-
and that,
yeah.
that makes, no, that's
And
fine.
that's materials, and then the DPW field would build it, and I believe Kyle was planning to go for a ride with Mike either last week or, in the near future, to look at some of the county's salt barns and see what would be easiest for our guys to build.
We could build it ourselves.
Yeah. Kyle and I both have experience building salt barns, so
So you'll be donating your time?
I may be donating a little bit of time, at least showing up in the morning and answering questions and, hey, we can do this and this.
I'm lucky to have that still.
And the DPW building reserve, that was for the furnace.
Okay.
While we're looking at snow removal, we went for repairs, we removed 2,000, which it's, right?
What are you looking at?
Under repairs, so 85142.44.
And I think that was under the,
Adopted. We just reduced it, so I guess it was that, we didn't do that, that was my question.
Yeah,
No, I think I did it.
okay.
So that we had only spent 24, and if we're supposed to be getting a new tractor, I'm not sure what we're gonna be spending more money.
Right,
Okay.
correct.
And that's the same reason why we then, or you then reduced under street maintenance, 85110.2, it went from 4 to 3,000. Similar
Similar thinking, yeah,
scenario, yeah.
but I'm not sure. Under street maintenance, what else I could do for repair reductions, because maybe that's roads.
Where?
What's that 5110?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, repairs,
Streets and sidewalks, actually.
Yeah, but for equipment, I reduced it.
oh, cause, yeah, okay. That. Cause we're not planning to buy anything this year.
Okay.
On the equipment line, but the repairs is staying at 10 grand. Which is fine because. As we've found with the fire department, if you have to fix a motor or transmission or something like that on one of the big trucks, it gets expensive very quick.
For law, 81420.4. You reduced it. And I know, that I can rely on NICOM for a lot of items in terms
Yes, ma'am.
of answering basic questions, which I plan on doing.
Okay.
I just didn't know, seeing how it came in for previous years, if we might be under budgeting.
We might be, but I thought we were gonna rely more on, free legal advice when we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just, being a new mayor, I didn't know if it might be the opposite, might be true in the first year where,
It's a good point, but okay, so on the 5-year compare law contractual in, 2018, it was 19,000. Then it went up to 21,000, 24,000, 23,000, 19,000, way up to 35,000. So
and then it's come back
We
down year over
been
year.
around, I mean, maybe we could keep it at, what was it 22?
I guess I would just like to see,
We need to make sure we have the money we need for you to get the advice you need. And the board to get the advice we need, so we don't get ourselves into a jam.
yeah,
You wanna go back up, ways? How much?
What,
I put it on,
where is it?
it's, 14 point.
Okay, 1420,
Mhm.
so,
and year to date, we've spent almost 27 or 26,000.
I think we need to go back up to at least 25.
Okay.
Because the other thing we have coming is the Dumbarton Mills
Yes,
stuff, and that.
and until I get caught up to speed, he's actually the one that holds the institutional knowledge on the side.
Exactly, yeah,
Unfortunately, with losing Pam and Kathy.
yes.
I think Kathy worked on it. I know Pam did. And then maybe we just watch that month, like
Yeah, well,
pay closer attention to it and make pause before we utilize law and pivot to NICOM as much as we can.
Right.
But that just makes me feel comfortable putting it in there just to be safe. And then health insurance, I know there's probably a very good reason for this, A90 60.8. Just some fluctuations there.
So with health insurance, our average bills are, well, the one we just got this month was 10,000. But I think that was just to catch up on some health insurance premiums for myself. But it is 9,000 plus. So if it's 10,000 a month for the 12 months, and it was projected to go up a certain percentage, I think it was 12% in September. So,
If you're good with it, I just wanted to call that out, because it seemed to be up and down.
well, and that, part of what,
It's not,
What was
it's not
allocated?
just the 10 a month. That's not the only bill that gets attributed to that line either. Where am I? I'm great.
But it says only 101 101,000 year to date. Well, that's because health insurance would be put in the books on liability. It's no.
Okay.
Really?
That's why the liability insurance number, look.
For January and February, it was coded as.
1910.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not trying to sneak this in, so for, the staff. The code enforcement officer.
Yeah, I have comments on the salaries and wages, but I figured we could get through the other items.
Salary and wages are on the budget part more accurate than the salary schedule at the end.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, because what you put in for the zoning
Mhm.
doesn't match on the last page versus the center, so. All right, well, let's discuss the zoning piece then. He- So historically, it's been at 4,000, Rachel put it in as an increase to 6,000. I don't know that I agree with it going that high, but the feedback I was given by previous. Zoning enforcement was that the stipend didn't reflect the amount of work that had to go into the role. And just in my 1 month being here, I can kind of see why that would be felt. Well, there's just a lot of development, and then we're also looking at updating our zoning in the village, which that person's gonna have to be involved in. So I feel like what the stipend was previously doesn't match what the job was, and now we're gonna be piling more onto the job. So I do think it's fair to appropriate more funds to that stipend.
I mean, and it's less than the town salary. And there should be more work in the town, but I think there's more work in the village, because we're on top of each other here.
We're more densely populated, and getting along with one another is much more important.
Oh, yeah.
I think we reach the 6 grand,
Okay,
because if that's what we're doing, and then we can revisit the stipend, if we need to.
what does revisit the stipend mean?
Okay. For, maybe we need to go to like the 5,000 a year, and then just, we're gonna pay a certain amount for working on the zoning code, We raise it to 5, and then when that zoning code
Oh,
comes up, we'll pay, that, and then we'll go back down to 5 and hold it at that after.
What was represented, do you have what he was?
Hired.
4,000.
Okay.
And we have 1,000 for contractual and we don't spend.
That was my other question, was what that contractual under zoning actually, what got charged for that?
Nothing.
I-
Well, I can look, $290 is probably a license.
It's, of some sort, I don't know what that would be.
Is that like the certified mail and things like of that nature
Would be.
that support like the administrative stuff?
I don't know that gets used for zoning issues. There's
I've
ZBA.
used it so rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the 1,000 can likely be removed.
Unless we wanna use that towards any stipend for the extra stuff that comes up, but yeah, we might as well.
I mean, it's a ZBA, if you're having to advertise for the ZBA, where do you, well, okay, for advertising comes under yours though.
Yeah.
So. Trying
And
to
it's
think
a
what
fair
would
amount of it.
reasonably. Well, your ZBA is unpaid, they're unpaid.
That is true.
Mhm. In case,
Yes, if we have to amend the budget. Or if we have to appropriate, if we don't spend it.
Or like you said, make it 5 if you wanna bump the position to 5
Right.
and then keep 1,000 there.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
If you're
Yeah.
seriously planning on.
I think that's a good,
zoning
yeah.
Changes.
yeah, I don't know if we will do that this year, but it's on the horizon.
I think that's a good approach
Okay,
Or we can start quoting legal ads
for that.
for
too.
that instead of everything under clerk.
Well, no reason to, really.
okay. And then crossing guards, I didn't appear that they got a 3% increase.
Whatever, Bob.
Bob didn't give us anything.
Okay, can we give them the 3%? Do we have?
We did 2 for the, didn't we do 2 for the DPW?
I think we went back and did 3 for.
I think we did 3 for
I think we did 3, so the crossing guards, the building cleaner,
Well, the crossing guards on this, the schedule here, this is what I said, the changes have been made on the budget. These- The schedule here will need to be reflected, so yeah, maybe I can just write it as you're speaking.
I think we bumped the crossing guards a few years ago up to 15. And
Yeah,
I think
because-
that remained there.
We couldn't get anybody to do it until we did start paying 15,
Right.
remember?
and they're
So,
doing a great job.
so
It wasn't.
It's like 50 cents, isn't it?
45, I think it's 45 cents.
It is.
Yeah, so probably increase that to 15.50, just so. Throwing and hopefully we can continue to keep the crossing guards that we have
Yes, retention is important.
and
Same for building cleaner. I wasn't sure.
And that's interesting too, there's a building cleaner, but then there's shared services contractual where she actually gets paid out of.
Okay, so
kinda
that's,
confusing.
so that the same. Who we sharing services with now?
It's just the,
No, it's the building, it's
The
the building
building.
code, 1620.
Okay,
yeah. Yes,
You're saying there's a separate line for that besides the 1620?
no, yes, on this, there's a salary for it,
Well, there's a budgeted amount, an amount to.
building cleaning.
Yeah. But it's the 1620.
But we don't pay her as a salary.
No, we
We
pay
pay
her
her
to,
under
We
4.
did
Yeah,
2%.
Sean
not
went
for
3.
yeah, it was 2.
I think
And
we're kind of across the board.
Yes.
Yeah, it was 2%.
We need to fair amount.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any 21
Okay.
figures there, I don't know. if I-
Tell her 2%.
2%.
2% for.
Was the increase they set across the board.
Who?
Or just a
We
amount?
did 2%.
You want 3%, not 3?
Well, the DPW did 2%.
You just did, yeah.
I didn't do the math on the DPW, but I did. And I think God did 2% too.
Bob did 3%.
Bob
He
did
came back and
3%.
told us.
Yeah.
He came back and did 3.
Because Cambridge did
Yeah.
All right, because when we discussed it, he did 2. Remember that?
Okay.
Because I remember Pam saying 3%.
He
Again,
did
one of them.
2%.
Okay.
But if Cambridge did 3, then that makes sense.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. All the pieces aren't clearly,
Oh,
Community.
sharing services books, yeah. Okay, there. Okay, so are we doing then 3% as a rule instead of 2%?
Because we can't give the cops.
And, yeah, so DPW,
DPW on this sheet, all got 3%.
Okay.
So that's apparently works.
So then Rachel, I guess I'm just calling out that I thought, you know, I wasn't sure that. The crossing guards didn't look like they reflected that increase.
Nope, you're right.
And
Look
the-
where you called it out.
Point.
The cleaner, I thought should also fall in line with that.
She gets $25 an hour to clean. She's a contract, she's not a salary.
Okay. That is too, a decent rate of
I
pay.
didn't
then.
mean to say it that way, I was thinking inquisitively, trying to say, yes,
No,
I'm
that's
pretty sure
good
it's not
information
correct.
to know the
I
hour.
think, yeah, that for her to be on here for salary and wages, I think that's probably not right, but she does send us a bill and it says her hours.
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's-
Okay, that's fair. And then, this one, I don't have enough knowledge yet, but the health officer stayed flat. I've had him in my 1 month, I've had 3 phone calls with him and he's cited 1 home so far. So. I don't know, Jane, from your
I haven't.
experience, if you know how often we rely on
Not
him.
a lot. This has
I
been
quoted
a-
him the 620, like the same.
This has been a pretty high level of code activity.
Okay, so it's an anomaly, it's not the standard for
It is for him,
for him.
hopefully.
Okay.
Welcome to being mayor. Nobody told you about this.
And then
So is that a no? We're leaving it exactly where it was.
for health officer?
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, I didn't know if we want to put the 3% increase in
Now,
there.
does he just send us a bill or does he just get a fixed
I
amount
think
of,
he gets a fixed, right?
okay,
He gets paid quarterly.
okay,
Yeah.
so he gets a fixed amount. Well, some years you win, some years you lose.
Been pretty good for him the past few years.
I think it's probably a kindness on his part.
Well, yes, of course.
Totally.
Okay, so we can leave it as is, and if something comes up, we can always revisit.
And I appreciate it, generosity.
Yeah,
Okay. And then my only other comment, which we talked about as a group before, is village clerk. You know, I will say if the job looks easy, it's because she makes it look easy. I think the role has changed. It's much more operational and project management with the amount of grants and projects we have going on. You know, I think most people hear clerk and they think solely secretarial. But that's not what I'm seeing so far. I think case in point. Today, we were not prepared to talk about tractors, but Jane had already read through everything and was able to guide us to what was said. I did look at Maria's suggestion at other, towns and villages, and of course you can't compare apples to apples, but where it falls, we're recommending Jane for the standard, the 3%, which would bring her at 43,914. The town of Greenwich, as best as I understand it, because there's a lot of clerks in their budget, is at, they assumed a 2% increase now for that, because they haven't publicized theirs, would be just almost at 4,500. The village of Schuylerville is 49,565, but that person does have to pay 20% of the insurance premium. Cambridge is at 42,600, and I am unsure of their contribution to insurance. So, I mean, I think retention is important, and I don't say that because Jane has said she is leaving. That's not, but for, as I told you, first time mayor. I mean, I could not do this job without her, and to replace her, I think that would be very difficult to do and costly in other areas. So, I've done the math so many times that I don't really know where I landed, but I think putting her in line with the town of Greenwich, which is 44,500, seems to me like it's a step in the right direction.
yeah, I think that's probably around where we need to be.
And we can
And
go from there.
and I would support that.
I agree.
What would we change it to? 44.5?
44.5.
That way we're unlikely to get the, have the town poacher.
I wouldn't blame them if they did. I would hold the time better.
Cause that, like with highway folks, we had ongoing issues with, you know, town, county, villages poaching people back and forth depending on. you know,
We've had it with our police.
Yeah, and police, that happens all the time because they start out at the village and like the county pays more or then, you know,
And actually, one of our DPW guys,
went to the police.
no, they came from them to us.
Yeah. There was also some, things weren't settled over there for a while. Yeah.
He's a happy boy here.
Yeah. And hopefully with, our new hire and Mike hired Levi,
I think so.
with that new hire.
I
that-
don't know. No, I don't know if it's fine or not.
If that, okay,
Don't think so.
I won't, but if indeed that happens, that could also help from a, external repairs standpoint.
And Mike is really busy.
Yeah,
And I guess while I'm on a roll, I do have a question about Mike. Was his, rate of pay, what was that increase from? Was that based just on what he was making or?
he was making, and then we increased it to something
He
in
was
the.
working foreman,
He was working for me.
right, so he was making what Kenny is making now, which I
He's
don't.
making $1 more than the other guys, so
Okay.
that's as a working foreman.
Yeah,
$1
so,
more now.
so then when we appointed him superintendent,
He got the promotion to that,
yeah,
okay.
But did you get the 3%?
I guess that was,
26, and then.
that was my question, is just if the timing of the promotion is,
that should not work against.
It was
No.
effective, January 20th.
Yeah,
No, I did add 3%.
okay, on
Okay,
top of it,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And then, I guess my other question is, and I don't know enough about this, for wastewater treatment operator. Now that we expect them to be licensed moving forward.
Yep.
Is that a salary that we should? I know we're not gonna, because he's not licensed yet, but is that something we have to address now, or is that something we change in the future?
And I'm gonna ask,
Sorry.
Jane, did we historically have a stipend or additional money for a wastewater? If you had the wastewater treatment license, you got additional
200 a quarter.
200.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
already
Yeah, yeah.
a precedent for that.
Yeah.
I thought, just want to make sure from there. Those are my questions.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about Nick Casey, so he's got his license, but not the hours.
Correct.
Where he passed the test.
He passed the test,
So
so
that-
when, and is there specific language in whatever personnel policy there is to say when they get that stipend?
When you have the license, because even though he passed the test, you can't get the license.
Until you have the hours.
Any other questions or feedback on the budget?
Yeah.
Rachel? You need anything from us?
Well, we just need to make sure we have all our reporting done for these grants, because I'm seeing things that I've never heard of, so.
Okay.
It's interesting.
For open grants or grants that are closing?
Open grants. We have to do a filing for ARPA. I think I need to speak with Jennifer Clark. Maybe. Yeah, that's, and then this EFC thing. And DEC called and had a question about, some grants for filters. We have some grants for filters apparently. Don't know about that either.
Water filters?
Mhm.
Okay,
They must do some funding for us. What I did see in the paperwork was the stuff about, the speedies stuff. There was a letter dated, April 10th from DEC.
yes,
So hopefully,
and that's for the sewer, that's for
That's
sewer. Sewer.
And wasn't that being held up by something?
The stack.
Yes.
we're spending all of our ARPA money on just engineering for that wastewater treatment plant.
Yes. And then we're gonna be getting, was it the stag money for construction?
Construction. Maybe you and I, Rachel, can sit down and go through all of this and I can see how to help move things forward. Make a list. I like lists. But I haven't heard about the water filters, though.
Yeah, that's
That
the
hasn't-
one on me, and
That hasn't been in my notes.
is that a component of the water?
I'm guessing it
Projects.
probably is. It must be one of those WQIP
Yeah.
or one
So-
of. But I'm not sure which one. I have to look at my cheat
So
sheet.
this isn't filters for our existing filtration, water filtration? This is for
More, I think it's for.
sewer?
Oh, it's
Oh.
Is it existing or new?
Oh, that I don't know.
Okay, I don't. I
I
don't
will
know.
find out.
I just talked about this. And I can't remember what Mike said.
About water filters?
Yep,
Was that our Thunder Mountain High?
no.
Okay.
Really fun.
Yeah,
There's a lot. of
but
open things.
if we are collectively willing to do that, we can get the state and feds to pay for an awful lot of stuff that it's good to do anyway,
Yeah.
and avoid having our village taxpayers pay for it.
But we just have to get organized.
But-
which Jane and
but
I
it's
were talking
getting on
about,
top
but
of
there's
them.
other,
Right.
yeah.
Keep in mind, of course, that they're called tax.
Well,
Being
that's,
redistributed.
that's it, but those tax dollars are gonna get spent
Right. different
Some-
village.
someplace else regardless, so I'd rather have them spent here in my community.
We can connect.
Yeah.
We'll get organized for you,
I feel like
Rachel.
From
so you're not
here till
alone.
June 1st, I've got a little bit of breathing room.
Okay, yeah, we can make that a priority. All right. Motion to adjourn?
So what we're gonna do before we
Please.
adjourn is just make these changes,
good.
and when we come back next week, we're gonna adopt our budget.
That's the plan.
But you want it in the form of the Williamson software budget? Or is it can be in this form?
No, it can be in this form. The numbers have to go into that, because that's how it gets plugged into your new budget year, but no, this is fine.
Cause that document from Skylarville looks pretty nice. I was like, what software is that? Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
Can I ask one little
Please.
question? I'm sorry to go back
No.
to beautification, but if they do want to paint that fountain, do they have our permission?
To paint the fountain?
Is it gonna be green?
They, it would be a little different. It would be more like a stone color with a lighter blue on it. But would they need us, we can think about it, but I'm saying we need to grant permission for that.
I think we need to give them permission
Yeah.
before they
We would
paint.
need to,
Yeah.
But I'm guessing, are we giving?
Yeah.
I think we need everything in writing before we
Right.
make
Yeah.
a decision. Will also give us some time to think about it.
Okay.
Because minor is something about changing the color on that fountain sounds. Those are the things that
one
turn
people.
out to be upsetting to people, or, I mean, it's even the slate sidewalks. If you fell in front of your house on the slate sidewalks, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the slate sidewalks. I don't really like falling down that much when I'm walking my dog. But still, some
Give
things
some
are,
thought
you
to.
need to give some thought to, because there's this, I found it surprising that people really are very concerned about that kind of thing.
Really sounds nice.
It does sound beautiful. I talked to her about it and their vision
Sounds
is
gorgeous.
great, yeah.
I'm learning the way to bring things to the
Okay.
table too, so.
Yeah.
In concept, I would love to see it happen. We just have to, deal with the details and the
Mhm.
particulars.
We have
and-
the money, I mean, I'm not trying to be a crab about it, but this is the amount of money that we have, and this is what we already spent on the planters this year, and now the plants, and so we need to be really careful, especially if we're gonna be needing to do trees, which I don't know, will we need to do trees this year?
I don't know, it may be next year, and, and while we're talking about it, we've got the agreement back from the state on the sidewalks for, John Street, correct? You sent me an email.
I sent, whatever I sent you,
Yeah.
yes.
So that means we can now go forward with spending the 20 grand for the sidewalks on John Street. I don't want to do that until after the water
Right.
mains are in. And we'll
Do
try
you have a
and,
deadline for that money?
I don't, I'll have to check.
Okay.
And typically it's fairly lengthy.
Okay.
And we'll try and leverage that with some of the CHIPS money also.
Yeah.
So we can expand that. So that's where I was.
How do we know how much CHIPS money we get?
You'll get a letter from the,
Thanks.
you-
Well, now they just started the new budget
Year,
year,
so-
so we'll probably get one in May.
So, cause that number on our budget is like, it says 53,000, but I don't know if it's a good number or a bad number.
and again, that's, the revenue is gonna be what we spent.
You can ask Mike for a copy of the last quarterly letter that came from them, and that would give you an idea of
But last year,
what we currently have.
and then
So-
we didn't spend any last year. I don't think, or very
He did,
low,
he did file in the fall,
okay,
but he took care of it himself,
Yeah.
so I don't know how much it was for and how much it depleted our allotment. Yeah, try and snag a copy of those letters when they come through the office before they disappear. Gives you an idea. I mean, you can do, so that's something you can, in terms of budgeting, either you can budget nothing and use, due from state and federal when you actually file for reimbursement. Or you can, guesstimate an amount and then make a slight adjustment after when you find out how much you actually do get. And it's the same on both revenue.
right, revenue and expense are gonna match and it is what it is.
Motion to adjourn now.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, thanks, guys. Thank you, Rachel. Can I take a picture of this? So I'll give it back to you.
Okay.
And I'll, if you're okay, I'll respond to that.
Yeah, that's
just
totally
you.
All right.